So much we could talk about today with this man, guys. Welcoming my good friend, Zachary Babcock, onto the podcast today. And as you guys know, we keep it real. Everything you need to know to grow and scale an amazing digital marketing agency. My friend Zachary went from prison to running a 7-figure business, all by scaling his podcast. So without any further ado, let's jump right into a conversation I had with him the other day. All right, guys, what's up? I'm sitting here with Underdog Empowerment, my favorite podcaster, my coach, Zachary Babcock. What's up, brother? How's it going today?
Dude, this is surreal. We are jamming. I love your setup too, man. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. When did we first connect? It feels like it was, man, we've been working together forever, but it was like 5 months ago, 6 months ago, beginning of the year.
It was around like we connected. I think it was the beginning of 2020 or maybe really late 2019. And then we started working together like right around the COVID stuff when that first started jumping off.
I love it, bro. And we've crushed it, man. I think you're the coach that I like work with the most, actually, that surrounds me. And that's how much I believe in what you're doing and where you're at, the power of podcasting and all this good stuff. I want to jump right in. Actually, I want to talk about podcasting in a bit because I want to talk about your story and where you came from first, right? So hit me up. Tell me, because you got a really awesome story. So tell me about what happened to you. How many years ago was it now?
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's been 6 years since I've been out of prison on October 2nd, which is at the time it's recording. It's coming up next week. So that's crazy to think about, man.
6 years, man. Is it time fly or do you feel like it's standing still?
Definitely flying. Yeah.
How old are the kids?
Yeah, they just turned 6 in February, and I'm like, wow, like you heard it your whole life, like enjoy it because they're gonna grow up in a flash and time's gonna fly by, and you're like, yeah, I hear that all the time, and then it happens. You're like, whoa, slow down, So it's surreal though, man.
So in case you didn't hear that. That's how long we've been out of prison, or since we got out of prison. So tell me about that story, right? I don't want to know the details there, but what was it like going in, knowing that your boys were right around the corner?
Yeah, dude. Man, I'm an open book about it, man. I'll share in detail, whatever. But I'll give you the high level overview of it, and if you want to unpack the Cliff Notes version, if you want to unpack more. Hey, real quick, have you ever had that on your show where you ask your guest something and then they start talking for 20 minutes and you're like, dude, can we just
I don't need the details, right? No. With this, I want the details because I think, right now, bro, everyone is going through hell. I mean, like the businesses are struggling. People are, woe is me. Oh, what am I going to do? And you got all these like entrepreneurs, man, and we're prideful people, right? And now it's like we're broken. And when you break someone that's prideful, it's just this crazy deal, right? And you've been there, and ain't nobody going through what you went through, right? 6 years ago, right? And so how did you tell me about going in, the thought process, coming out, and then how you've just freaking crushed it since then?
Yeah, dude. So I grew up just no chief aim in life, just kind of like a drifter. Nothing that was driving me, and I made a bunch of poor decisions trying to fit in with other people that I thought were cool and that didn't align with really who I was as a person, my core values. And so, long story short, by the time I was 17, I caught some cases, and then by the time I was 19, I went away for 4 years flat, over 4 years on a 7-year sentence. Got out for about 2 years. A lot happened during that 4 years that we could dive in a little bit later on if you want. But I got out for about 2 years, and then I went back to prison for DWI, and that was 20 days when my twin sons were born. And JC, bro, like you got kids, you know how that is. Like that crushed me, dude. Like crushed my soul, dude. Like because I grew up without a father, and I used to play football, and I used to see all my friends' dads at practice, and I used to wonder how that felt, and I couldn't wait for the opportunity to be a dad. And now here I am missing out on their birth because I wanted to be a knucklehead, because I felt sorry for myself because I got fired from a job for being a convicted felon and I became an alcoholic. But that was an excuse, and so here I am missing out on that. And dude, it was the most painful thing that I ever experienced, but it was the greatest thing that could ever happen to me, because that pain right there in that moment in that jail cell, I was like, dude, I don't care what it takes. I'm going to get back home. I'm going to be in my kid's life. I'm going to be happy and successful. I don't know what happy and successful even looks like, but I know it's going to be in my kid's life and thriving. And I don't care what I got to do to make it happen. I didn't know how I was going to make that happen. I just had, really powerful reasons why. And I just been moving in a completely different direction ever since.
Yeah, and the good Lord throws us fastballs to our face, so to speak, right? So you got out of prison. Here you are with your kids. You're killing it. You're crushing it. And now COVID happens. You can't even play football. I saw you post about that the other day. Like, what in the world, Are they playing now, or is the season on hold?
It's weird here in St. Louis. And so it's a little frustrating. We're probably going to get them in baseball, because like they're doing like this fall thing.
Okay.
It's just a weird year, man. But we're gonna make it happen regardless. We've been doing other things like they got their little lemonade business. We're getting ready to start up their YouTube channel. They're gonna start learning, like they want to get into like graphic design and creating their own little merch and stuff. And so they're already trying to build brands like that and stuff, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome, bro. That's awesome. So you got this story. You go to prison, you get out, your kids are your driver, man, everything's rolling, and you get into this podcasting world, right? So you're obviously, if you can pull this off, anybody can pull this off, right? So talk to me about this journey and what podcasting has done for you, and why you believe, and I believe both, dude, podcasting is where it's at. So talk to me about where that came up, that journey, and then I want to talk about how to get started and how people can, maybe some tips on scaling, and then we can have some fun with it.
For sure, dude. Yeah, well, dude, 100% my opinion on podcasting is absolutely biased, but I'm going to tell you the reason why it's biased. It's because before podcasting, dude, I got out of prison and I spent 3.5 years banging my head against brick walls, trying to figure it out, trying to break through. The thing with me, man, was that I got in entrepreneurship because I kind of had to. I didn't have to, but it was the only route that I had that would give me the life that I wanted to live. I didn't get into it because it was the cool thing to do or whatnot. I couldn't get a job anywhere, and I wanted to provide for my kids, so I became an entrepreneur. But anytime I tried to collaborate with anybody, dude, nobody took me seriously, man. It was like I was the joker, the clown, the ex-convict turned entrepreneur afterthought that nobody gave the time of day to. Anytime I tried to collaborate, they're like, it's just a matter of time for that dude's back in prison. I'm not giving this dude a shot. That's what I constantly ran into, dude. And I was pissed, for lack of better words, dude. Like, dude, I get it. Everybody makes snap judgments, but if you're going to hold on to those snap judgments after you get to know somebody, that's a different story. And so I was like, man, I'm not going to stay in this box that people are trying to keep me in. And so out of that pain and frustration, and just literally was trying anything to get this thing going, I launched a podcast, Underdog Empowerment, back in 2018. And what's crazy, man, is on day 3, we got it ranked on Apple. And I was like, holy heck, like I never had any type of success like that in entrepreneurship space. And then a week after that, we had Billie Jean's Marketing on the show. And then it's just been a constant spiral of upwards momentum ever since. Built a multi-6-figure business, scaling an agency, getting ready to work with you on scaling my agency here soon, all this cool stuff. But the cool part about that whole thing, man, was I literally went from, in 1 week's worth of time, of nobody giving me a shot, nobody taking me seriously, to interviewing world-class entrepreneurs in a matter of a week and rapidly skyrocketing my brand through a podcast. It's completely changed the whole dynamic of my career, the trajectory of my career, put my brand on the map. Now I have a thriving team that I'm able to help provide for them and give them a future that they're excited about. It's been awesome, man.
And I think it's like podcasting. I mean, how much does it cost to get into podcasting?
So it's funny, and you put me on the spot right here. That's what I talked to you right before we got going. So I literally just moved into this office space. Like, hey, are we good to go? Because I don't have my whole setup here yet. And you're like, it's good. It sounds good, whatnot. So usually, I'm like you, dressed up with a nice mic and all that. But I started off with less than a $200 setup, and it plugged right into my computer. It's a USB mic. And I had that all the way up until this point right now. And we just moved to the office space. Now I bought the real fancy stuff and built out a cool studio. But the fact is, I started with a less than $200 setup and used that for over 2 years and built a world-class podcast through less than $200.
That's where I think you have nothing to lose doing podcast. Absolutely nothing to lose. Like, you get on it, you create content. Dude, I mean, I have been, for all the branding we've done, Instagram, YouTube, Face, all this stuff, I think personally podcasting has been number one. So my biggest thing is what you mentioned, right? Like connecting with these gurus, these cool jokers, right? And I'm nobody. And I've got LD, who else? I mean, like just David Meltzer. I mean, like all these like crazy cool jokers, right? That now we're all connected. We're all like hitting each other up on Instagram. David and I like chat back and forth several times. And you can do it. Like, I mean, if you and I can do it, anybody can do it, right?
Amen.
And then what does it look like to have that authority now, right? So I get people, even customers, who go, "Oh, dude, I read this," right? Current customers. Well, now they even see us even more of an authority, right? And you guys are crushing it. And you guys, let me ask you this. So I don't want to know how to rank, right? You helped me rank my podcast, but what's the success rate with your students right now in getting their podcast in the top 200? Let's say within the first like 3 months.
Yeah, dude, we got 131 client or 100. It's in the same podcast group that you're in, the podcast Powertrain Syndicate group. I think it's 131 or 133, somewhere like right there. But 100% success rate of getting every single person ranked on Apple. And then with that, out of that 100% people, 90 to about 80 to 90% have done it in 48 hours or less from the moment they launched. We got Mandy Pod Lindsay, who holds the record with the More of Mandy podcast. 6 hours after she launched her podcast, had it ranked on Apple. It's real simple stuff, dude. It's like, literally, I'm an open book. It's real simple stuff. It's just doing the work. If most people in the internet marketing space preach that, oh, become a millionaire in 1 week with just working 1 hour a week or whatever. Like, no, dude, it's going to be work involved. And if you're the type of person that doesn't want to work hard, then you're probably not going to be real successful in life. You know what I mean? But if I don't think nobody on this podcast is that person, or else they wouldn't be listening to this podcast, right?
Hopefully not. So we got the podcast. We launch it, $200. We get it ranked in a few months. It allows us to meet people. It allows us to build authority. Why do you see people not doing it? Like when you're chatting with people, just curious, because you obviously talk to a lot of people about podcasting. What are some of the reasons why people turn it away?
Main ones is they don't know how to do all the tech stuff. Like the tech stuff scares them, which is not really that much as what a lot of people think it is. And then there's also plenty of solutions out there where people can do it for you. That's the reason why we built that service ourselves. That's one big one. Another one, a real big one, is the aspect of people feel afraid of putting out content and being judged by it. They're like, they say public speaking is like the second biggest fear in the world next to death or something, because it fits right into that fear of us being social creatures, of being outcast from the tribe. That's like our worst fear next to death, right? And we get up and say something we think like people won't. So, and the thing is, man, is that if you go and listen to my old episodes, bro, I literally cringe listening to them because they're that bad, right? But you're gonna suck in the beginning, man. You can't be afraid to suck. And you might already have some experience. You might be good, but the thing is, when you do anything, you're gonna kind of suck at it in the beginning until you do it a few times, and you get kind of good. Kind of like when you first try to start walking. You know, you're walking around like Bambi, falling over hundreds of times, but you didn't say like, "Oh, this walking thing's not for me. I'm just gonna quit." No, you kept doing it, and then eventually you got so good at walking to where you could chew bubble gum and walk at the same time without even thinking about it.
What would you say if I told you I've never listened to one of my podcasts?
I think that's good in the beginning. I think that's cool because in the early phases, because you could just go and hone your craft, or either way, it doesn't matter. But I think that's crazy. You never listened to it.
Never listen. I'm scared of it. Like I heard my wife was actually listening to one of my podcasts. I was like, wait, that's it. And I like, babe, you got to turn it off. Like I'm so, and I don't, for now, I think it helps me, right? I think there's a point where I'm going to be like, okay, I want to learn and study what I'm doing right and doing wrong and how I can interact with my guests better. But right now, I think there is like like I'm stage fright, like, to be honest with you. Like, it takes a little bit of courage to get on these. I think that's normal. I don't know. Shoot, you're 1 week in and you're talking to Billie Jean, who's kind of a big name in the industry. You weren't nervous then?
Bro, if you go listen to that episode, you could hear like my voice shaking and stuff in the beginning. I was like fanboying out and stuff. And now, now when I get on, I just talk with anybody the same, like and you know me, dude, I don't fanboy or flatter or say things about you to make you feel good, or like, I'll keep it real. But like, dude, like, we're jamming right now. You're an excellent host. And the reason why I say it, here's a tip for everybody listening. What makes a great podcast host is someone that can hold a conversation, a dialogue, a back and forth, and you take a genuine interest in the other person, and you are genuinely curious. You are curious, and you go deeper than those surface level questions. And so, like, you're constantly guiding the conversation back towards my passions or stuff that I could talk about. You know what I'm saying? So that's really, it's just having a conversation with somebody that you would have, for lunch or whatever. It's all podcasting. Listen to Joe Rogan. They're just shooting it, man. They're not really getting into controversial topics, but they're just having a conversation.
Yeah, it's more just inviting people into his office, right? And who's your favorite guest that you've had on so far?
Man, that is so hard. I'm gonna have to go with Andy Frisella, because like he's like a huge like role model to me. And I also like Robert Greene too, man, because his understanding of human psychology is mind-boggling. But if I had to pick one, it would be Andy Frisella. But both of those were like kind of like my top guests.
Because that says a lot. I mean, you've had the Neil Patels, you've had Grant Cardone several times. You've had some big names that you've been able to connect with and have on, right? Man, I think that's what's been interesting to me is that it's and I've been telling every agency I know, like, again, what are you going to lose? $200 if it doesn't work? Like, why would you not, jump into podcasting, right? Again, if you and I could do it, I got a 2.0 GPA, right? In college, like, if I'm smart enough to do it and can reach out, like, anybody can do this junk, right? It's interesting. How does the family tie in? Didn't you do an episode the other day with your kids?
Yeah.
Did I see that?
Yeah.
You think they're going to be into podcasting soon?
Oh yeah, they're already asking. They're wanting to start their YouTube channels and their podcasts and all that stuff. They're in it, but we brought them on. They had their lemonade business, and then we got on the podcast and talked about their experience with it. Like, we had one where is it okay if I tell a quick story about that?
No, roll with it, bro.
Right on. We went to this gas station that's by our house to get ice for the lemonade. And it was busy, super busy. And we get there and I was like, hey, can I get ice? And they had it locked in the front, like a little ice machine out front, and they had it locked. And he's like, oh, we don't have no ice. I was like, you don't have no ice? He's like, no. I was like, okay. So I got my kids, were leaving, and I go peek through the crack because you can look inside, but it doesn't open. And it's stacked with ice. And I'm like, this dude literally, because it was a franchise run BP. So the guy that was working there actually is the franchisee. And I was like, this dude just didn't want to sell me ice because he's busy and there's a low profit margin with ice or whatever. I don't know. But regardless, he didn't do a good service. And so I was upset about that. And I told my boys to get in the car, and we went to our favorite locally owned, quick stop type of, family owned business. And John is the guy that there, and he knows both me and my boys by name, greeted us like usual, super nice. And, we got our ice and stuff. And that right there, I was like, I told him, I was like, that's how you treat your customers. You take an interest in them, you help them, and you serve them. You always think about their needs stuff. And so, anyways, I was like, at the end of the day, I was like, what's the biggest lesson? And they said, don't be like the guy at the gas station, be like John. I was like, they get it, man.
Boom. Dude, I'm jealous of you, bro. Like, I cannot wait. O's 2, she's about to turn 3. So she just like wants milk and I don't know, to play. We're trying to get potty trained right now, And so
she says no all the time.
Yeah. I cannot wait until we can start doing business. Like what you're doing with your boys with YouTube, man, it's like, I would love I've been thinking about this since before she was born, like legit, is that I want to start a YouTube channel. I wasn't thinking podcasting, I was thinking YouTube like you are. but I want it to be a serious digital marketing channel, right? But like by a 5-year-old. So I'm going to like help her out, script her up. And I just imagine some 5-year-old like laying down some knowledge, right? Like the other day I was consulting with this dude and he, I dug into his analytics and it wasn't even connected to his site. What a freaking idiot. Like what if your 5-year-old is telling you this and you're like, holy crap. Yeah, I haven't done that either, And so like, I'm just waiting for the day that mine turn about your age where it's like, okay, we can start doing some fun stuff, right? And you got twins, man. So what's it like balancing all this like success and podcasting, entrepreneurship? I mean, you're a worker. You're not like some CEO sitting in the background, right? With a bunch of VAs. What's it like balancing family and work?
That's what I can't wait to pick your brain about more because you got a well-established agency and we're like really in the infant stages of where we're at. And so you got a lot of experience. Like for an example, right before we moved into this office space, I had my thing dialed in where, I had my schedule of 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. work. And then I would kill it off no matter if there's fires, whatever, kill it off. And we go on a bike ride with my kids and do personal stuff for the rest of the day. And I get my workouts early in the morning before we go into work. Well, when we moved in here, I made it an exception. I said, hey, I'm going to do this just for like, 2 to 3 weeks, grind it. I onboarded 3 key team members, that are leading different departments of the organization that are here. We're also running an offer, a launch, what goes, all the work that goes in them. Plus we just moved into this office space Monday and, we had to paint, tear out the carpet, lay the floor, order all the equipment, assemble it, get it ready and operational. So I was literally just working my normal day-to-day operations from 9 to 4. And after that, I'd slide over here to the office for a few hours, go home, hang out with the family for a few hours, get them to bed. And then I'd get to work till about like 2 to 3 a.m. at night doing other stuff that, like the documenting the standard operating procedures for the weekly and daily procedures for each team member and getting them up to speed and all that. So it was a grind. So I was in grind mode, but now I'm shifting back to get my, normal habit routine. Do you do stuff like that? Do you ever go through phases where it's like grind time?
Dude, man, I do. So I update my calendar probably every 3 weeks. I like delete everything and I kind of go back at it. And one of the things that shamefully, honestly, because I think, everyone says their kids are the most important, and but it's tough, right? It's really tough. And so there for a long time, I was every day at 4:00, I would turn off my phone. And that was probably the biggest thing I did. And I've made an exception some through COVID, which has gotten to a bad habit. And I got to start it back again. And that was like big, right? Because then it's like, well, shoot, what else am I going to do besides play with my kids, right? And I actually did it until she went to bed. And, how do we create systems and rules for ourselves operationally so that we, and I learned that from David Meltzer, man, who's, hey, 1 minute a day, or I think it's 2 minutes a day, every day with each child. Of course, his are grown, so he calls them, right? And so creating systems that help you take care of the most important things, right?
Yeah.
Stuff. Man, one last question for you before we kick it. Commitments. So I ask everybody on the show, what are you committed to? What's the one thing that helps you overcome not only the obstacles that you've been through, but the future obstacles, the day when, man, I don't want to do that little task. I don't want to meet with these all random people. What's the commitment that's driving you through all this stuff right now?
I'm absolutely committed to empowering people. What that means, dude. So is it okay if I kind of go on a slight little tangent?
Oh, go for it.
All right. So for me, what that means, dude, is like you got all these people playing this victim mentality stuff and like, oh, the reason why I'm losing life is because of this or whatever. And I just can't resonate with that. I cannot feel sorry or have empathy or compassion for that because, dude, I don't care if a system is designed to keep you down. You can beat systems. I beat the prison system. I was supposed to go back to prison and stay in the system. And so what I mean by empowering people is not giving you something that's just gonna, it's giving you a fish. I'm about teaching you how to fish. And so what that means first and foremost is me leading by example, going out there and doing it constantly, never any improvement of myself and stuff. But my like life vision goal, like legacy stuff, like I don't usually like to talk about stuff I haven't done, just talk about stuff we're doing. But like podcast penthouse or podcast powertrain, this is going to be in the next 5 years, a $50 million a year business, 40% net. And what our vision for this is, we're making it cool to not have to pretend to be something that you're not in the internet market space. We're making it cool that you don't have to feel feel obligated to be so further along when you're really not, because there's too much frauds in the internet market space, and people are taking these Instagram photos of them on the beach and they're like
Lamborghinis.
Fakeness, dude. Like, no, we're making it cool to be real and be yourself. But that's this mission of this company. But this is like a cash cow vehicle to my next venture. And that venture is going to be an outsourcing agency for guys and gals coming out of prison that were just like me. Not everybody coming out of prison, because there's some people that are just going to go right back, and that's just the way it is, because they're not ready to change. And some of them will never be ready to change, unfortunately. But for the guys and gals that are like, I want to change my life around, I want to do something good in my life, we're going to not just give them food stamps, welfare, and assisted living. Like, that's giving you a fish. That's literally designed to keep you dependent on the system. And if you look at our recidivism rates nationwide, they dwarf any other country, period, because we have a broken system that's built on money and it wants to keep you in it. And so what we're going to do is offer resources that aren't currently provided, and we're going to build you up as a person, truly empower you, stuff that's not even taught in most of our school systems, so you can become the person you need to be. Then we're going to get you matched up with all the entrepreneurs that we're connected with based on your strengths and weaknesses, get you jobs that way you're feeding your family right out the gate. And then for the guys and gals that are cut out to be entrepreneurs, because not everybody is, we're going to have a program for them to help them fast track that whole process. And so our ultimate vision, our ultimate goal is a 9% recidivism rate nationwide across the U.S., which if you look at the recidivism rates, that's a crazy goal, but I don't care. That's what it is. We're sticking to it.
I love it, brother. I mean, own it. Underdog empowerment. Own that you're an underdog. In fact, embrace it and use it as fuel to scale and grow, right? Which is what you've done. Man, I love it, bro. I'm a fan. I'm a big fan of your program, what you're about, and podcasting as a whole. So definitely, guys, if you're listening, how can people reach out to you, Zach?
Yeah, dude. Underdogempowerment.com. Hope to see you guys on the podcast. So I'm pretty much any podcast platform that you listen to podcasts on. Really cool podcast. If you listen to it from the beginning, you got to see right when I was broke, just starting out, to where I'm at now and where we're going. Hope to see you guys over there. You can go to underdogempowerment.com. Right there on the homepage, there's a little podcast section. You hit subscribe. There's iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, whichever, dude. All my socials are on there too if you want to connect with me other places. Hope to see y'all over there. JC, dude, this was a blast, man. Thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, man. Make sure, guys, hit them up, underdogempowerment.com. All right, brother. Have a good one.
You too, my man. Thanks.